Although Japan has not been a leader domestically in the development of fighter jets for over 40 years, it is about to take the world by storm with these 6th-generation fighter jets. Once this machine is completed, no country will be able to challenge Japan in the air, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why. Sometime around December 2021, a Japanese news outlet known as Nikkei unveiled the nation's plan to begin building a 6th-generation fighter. After relying on the West for the creation of such weapons for so long, they decided to go back to building domestically. Watch this video compiled by Military Technology Updates to understand how they're doing it. The big task of this enterprise does not come cheap, as the fighter jets cost Japan about $48 billion to build. This also means that they'll need the help of allied nations like the US and the UK, since they've not been producing fighter jets for years. But the big question then is it worth it? This deadly aircraft has been dubbed the F-3FX or Godzilla, and it is meant to surpass the air capabilities of Japan's neighbors such as Russia and China. The world is enjoying peacetime, but this is when countries build up their defenses, and Japan's neighbors are serious about this. As reported by Japan's Defense Ministry, China is allegedly in control of over 3,000 4th-generation fighters. Beijing has its 5th-generation fighter jets with stealth capabilities ready to go too. Then there is Russia, all set to introduce the 5th-generation aircraft as well, which is expected to come with an unmanned aerial vehicle. All of this is not good for Japan's defense in the air. Hence, the need for developing this weapon. The project has been in the works with the Mitsubishi manufacturers, and finally, we can show you what the machine looks like. According to the Defense Ministry's announcement in 2019, development commenced last year, while the aircraft's first flight is slated for 2030. By then, Japan would begin replacing its many home-built F-2 fighters with the F-3 or FX jets. This also goes for the F-16s. After all, such aircraft would probably be outdated for warfare. So what does this 6th-generation aircraft offer? What will this 6th-gen aircraft look like? Firstly, 6th-gen fighters have not been built by any nation yet, as they're mainly experimental. However, as an improvement on the 5th-generation fighters, these aircraft are to come with more automation capabilities as well as not needing a human pilot. Further features include stealth capabilities and advanced integration of drone wingmen. Then, we have necessary characteristics such as endurance and long-range abilities, maneuverability, and high speed. However, the Japanese Defense Ministry has its eyes set on some key features. So when an official from the ministry was asked about the key priorities for the F-3, the answers were capacity for upgrades, ownership of domestic technology, and more importantly, capacity for future air superiority. The F-3 jets will be twin-engine fighters, allowing 6 internal weapons to be mounted. Although the engineers are not certain of all the features they can build into the aircraft, they hope to incorporate certain technologies. One of these is the XF91 low-bypass turbofans, which they began testing 3 years ago. The technology was developed domestically by Ishikawa Heavy Industries, and it is believed to be capable of generating 11 to 12 tons of dry thrust. Also, they believe that it can tolerate heat as much as 1,800 degrees Celsius. The XF9 turbofans are 30 centimeters slimmer and a half meter shorter than the regular used F119. Now this means that there's more room for internal weapons. What's the engine like? Additionally, engineers have been examining the possibilities of 3-dimensional thrust vectoring nozzles. These will redirect the thrust of the engine up to 20 degrees in the required direction. If the Japanese engineers can manage to implement these technologies without disturbing the radar cross-section, then the F-3 will strike fear in the hearts of Japan's enemies. Japan wants the fighters to rank high among the world's most maneuverable aircraft. This places it in the same category as the Su-35 and the F-22 jets, if not higher. In simple terms, this means that the F-3 jets will be able to evade missiles and outmaneuver opponents within visual range. But how do they plan to successfully build such an aircraft? The engineers are working on turning this 6th-generation jet's airframe skin into a massive conformal radar antenna. This is to be done by using composite smart skin sensors and an electromagnetic ESM sensor. These will help the jets detect enemies while also distorting or minimizing a stealth fighter's radio frequency emissions. It is believed that the engineers do not intend to use the standard heads-up display for cockpit instrumentation. Rather, they intend on using an F-35 style helmet-mounted display system. This will be used with a singular large liquid crystal display. To optimize the flow of information, they also intend to use AI with a man-machine interface. The country is also considering high-speed data links to connect sensors and also share targeting data with allied forces. The idea here is to counter multiple superior enemy attacks from machines like the J-20 stealth fighter from China or the H-20 stealth bomber being built by China. The F-3 jets may also feature elements from the X-2 jets, such as the self-repairing flight systems and the fiber-optic fly-by-wire avionics. There's a good reason to expect this aircraft to be bigger than the F-22 jets once it's completed. This would explain why some have given it the awe-inspiring name Godzilla. To reduce the aircraft's weight, an integrated bonded structure will be created from composite materials. This will help it maintain an extended operational range and flexibility. How powerful is this fighter jet? By now, I'm sure you can see how incredible these fighters will be when they are ready for use, hopefully in 2030. Here is a fighter jet that's big enough to accommodate multiple internal weapons, but still light enough for high speed and maneuverability. There's not much more you can ask for than this. Besides this, it's a massive step forward in the country's quest to build defense systems domestically. This country just reached a major technological milestone in 2016 when it flew the X-2 Shinshin, which had been in development since 2007 and cost $350 million. However, the X-2 Shinshin is just a tech demonstrator and would not be useful for a fully equipped fighter jet. Thus, forging straight ahead for a 6th-generation aircraft of this nature is worth all the praise. Before we continue, please like and subscribe to our channel, Military Technology Updates. Now, let's continue with the video. Japan's new Pride in the Air. Once the project is completed, Japan's neighbors, including China, will have a lot to think about when considering the nation's air prowess. Japan's engineers will also be deserving of praise when they complete this project. This is because resurrecting a country's military aviation industry after a lengthy interruption is a Herculean task. Things go from bad to worse when experienced engineers retire, technologies become outdated, and factories shut down. Japan's military aviation industry has been dormant for about 40 years, while they've been getting their fighter jets from the US. Therefore, it's important for the country to resume manufacturing and start developing an advanced stealth fighter. If this is not done, Tokyo might never break its long-standing dependence on American-based defense organizations. Thus, rather than remain dependent on another nation for weapons, Japan is keen on getting technical assistance from its allies in the West, such as the United Kingdom and the United States. This relationship will also aid the interoperability of the F-3 fighter jets. Who are Japan's partners? Partnerships between Mitsubishi and American companies such as Lockheed Martin can only be a welcome development for the Japanese design team. This is because, besides Lockheed's wealth of experience in designing military aircraft, Japanese engineers will be able to work with Northrop Grumman's technical team. Northrop Grumman is an agency that specializes particularly in sensor designs and data linking tech for advanced jet fighters. So Japan linking up with Lockheed also means that Mitsubishi Heavy gains easy access to technical support from Northrop. Another company that would be helpful is British Aerospace. The company is particularly skilled in the development of military technology that's powered by electromagnetic waves. The electromagnetic waves help block attacks from adversaries. Reports reveal that apart from these British and American companies, there are about 1,000 other companies comprising both local and foreign organizations. This is what it would take to build a machine that has never been built before. This is an aircraft that could make Japan superior when it comes to air warfare in a couple of years. Every selected company will have its role to play in this 6th-generation aircraft's development. It's very likely that components such as lightweight airframes, infrared sensors, and data systems will be outsourced. Some of the domestic companies vying for a role in the project include Fujitsu and Toshiba. These manufacturers are believed to be the frontrunners regarding the development of the jet's gallium nitride. Certainly, there is no question as to the fact that the country is prepared to invite companies like British Aerospace, Lockheed, or Boeing to exchange technology and assistance. It is important to note that the ability to integrate all these technologies into a flying platform successfully poses a great challenge. The same also goes for Japan's ability to produce them in mass inexpensively. These are challenges that can affect its production. Take America's F-35, for example. It was delayed so many times that the eventual costs became a problem. Thus, it is clear that all the engineers working on the project have their work cut out for them. And to think that they still have quite a long way to go to fully realize the 15-year development goal means that there's not much time on their side. However, the prospects are looking good so far. And should this military initiative be realized, it will represent a major milestone in the history of the country and the world as a whole. It will be the first time that a Japanese-led tech team has developed fighter jets since the 1970s when Mitsubishi Heavy developed the F-1 aircraft. So history is at stake here, just as Japan's security is. When is this aircraft expected to be out? It has to be said that Tokyo's deadline of 2030 for the jets is not very realistic. This is the case when you consider the delays that generally accompany the creation of other advanced military jets throughout the last decade. This was the case with America's F-35, which was a 5th-generation stealth jet. And don't forget that the country has not been in the advanced military aircraft manufacturing business for years. However, Tokyo already has an edge considering the profound research it has been doing on component technologies. This includes tests of engines, radars, and networking systems. Also, don't forget the Stealth X-2 Shinshin demonstrator jet we talked about earlier. All that will come in handy in the years to come. Japan's intention to build fighter jets such as this is not only very exciting but also demanding. It means that Tokyo needs to upskill its domestic companies to be able to meet up. If this project is successful, Japan will not only wield the most cutting-edge military aircraft on the globe, but it will also reawaken its domestic industrial capabilities. Another thing to consider is the fact that several other countries are trying to develop a 6th-generation fighter jet as well. Whoever manages to do it will automatically have a huge market to sell its services and weapons to. Besides Japan's F-3 is UK's Tempest program and Europe's FCAS, also known as Future Combat Air System. All of these are racing for the same title. It will not be easy or cheap to complete this project and have it ready by 2030. However, world governments quickly realize that such programs are unavoidable. It is necessary for their defenses and the strengthening of their domestic aviation base. It can also become a viable resource for economic stability as they begin to trade their weapons and services with other countries. In conclusion, Japan is on its way to becoming a force to reckon with in terms of military aircraft, and the likes of China are probably not happy about this development. So, what do you think about this fighter jet? Do you think it's enough to make Japan's air force superior? If you enjoyed watching this video, then leave a like and subscribe to this channel to watch more videos from military technology updates.